also to our online viewers. I'm Bonnie Rose. It's great to see you here this morning on this chilly, chilly day, right? Yes. Stay warm if you can. We've got some blankets in the back that you're welcome to borrow if you like, and it's good to see you here. I have a few announcements just to start us off. Everything I'm going to say is on our website, www.venturacsl.org. Also, we have some ambassadors here. They're wearing teal stoles. Mark is over there, and there's another one roaming around somewhere. Oh, Charlotte. Charlotte, if you've got questions for them, go ahead and just holler at them, and they'll be able to answer whatever questions you might have. We are having the choir sing today, and we have a choir. We have a choir that anyone is welcome to join. It's called Hearts in Harmony. They rehearse on Sundays from 11:30 to 12:30. We are collecting and partnering with Salvation Army as well as some other organizations in an effort to assist fire survivors. We're inviting people to bring new toiletries, new or gently used clothing, towels, socks, and not used underwear or socks. That came out wrong, okay. Yeah, just use your good judgment, and we're having them come here by February 2nd, and we've already had several volunteers that want to drive them to various places, so we'll show up as a community and really see if we can serve our friends in Los Angeles. Just remember that every donation makes a difference to someone. And then we have our Science and Spirituality group, and that happens on February 19th. It's the third Wednesday, and the book is You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza. And there it is. All right, y'all. So thank you so much for listening. And now I'm going to call forth Bill Seal, who will lead us in a youth message. Right? Oh, other Bill, Bill Hadris. Woo. Sorry, Bill.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Bill Hadris with Youth and Family. Come on, Felix, you can help. Come on. Anybody else want to come help me today? And my children?
All right. Sorry, Bill.
No worries.
Okay. Hi. Hi, Kaya. Come sit here.
All right. I've got a full crowd. Perfect. So I'd like everyone to think for a moment.
Good to see you.
And think about a time where you've told someone they hurt your feelings. Anybody think of something? Anybody want to tell me? How did you feel after you told them?
Pretty good that I said it.
Pretty good that you said it. Absolutely. It feels good to get it out, and it feels good to talk through it and understand why you feel that way. So you need to remember, we are all one. So the world and everything in it is, in one way or another, a reflection of you. So if you have a triggered emotion or negative feelings, you start to feel them and then reflect that back to yourself. So we need to let go of hurt feelings and allow love to flow. So tomorrow, Martin Luther King Day. So I'd like you to think about being quick to forgive others. It can be a very hard lesson to learn, but we should never allow hatred to develop in our hearts for anyone. That hatred only causes pain. Preventing hatred starts by learning to forgive quickly. So, as Martin Luther King said, forgiveness is not an occasional act, it is a constant attitude. So with that, I invite you all to repeat after me. Forgiveness releases my pain.
Forgiveness releases my pain.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. will the real Bill Seal please lead us in prayer?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I ask all the ministers and our beautiful practitioners stand and anchor this prayer with me as we speak together in consciousness. Breathing deeply, allowing the freedom of expression, the freedom of receiving, and allowing and experiencing right here, right now. Knowing that God is, and I am, and you are. We are all connected by that beautiful spirit, the beautiful love, through forgiveness, through compassion, through trust, through integrity, for loving ourselves deeply. And as I relate and experience those same qualities of God within myself, I experience them within each and every one of us here today as we step into this service, opening our hearts and minds, allowing the busyness of the week, of the day, of the morning, of the moment to fall to the ground, releasing all stresses, releasing all concerns, releasing all that busyness, being present right here, right now. Breathing in the truth of who we are, perfect, whole beings, spirits who love deeply and serve wherever we can. I give thanks today for our minister and the word she's about to share with us, along with our choir and Mary as our director, and all the others who are serving today in any capacity, our music, our service team in the back, our ambassadors, and our guests. I give thanks that you're here today in this moment. So I release these words into the universal law, knowing they are done before they were even spoken. And join me in saying, and so it is.
Thank you, Bill. And so it is, and so we allow it to be as we breathe deeply and center ourselves into the warmth of this beautiful sanctuary. The warmth that is created not by weather, but by community, by our open, willing hearts joining together to celebrate the goodness of spirit in all things, in joys and sorrows, in darkness and light, in struggles and joy. Spirit prevails in everything. And so we breathe into that awareness, and we know it as I am, because we are. I am is another word for the divine. Some call it love, some call it higher power, some call it God, some call it spirit. But the I am is omnipresence, living and moving and having its perfect being through each of us. And today we remember that. So we sing together, I am remembering who I am, knowing that we are evoking the presence of the one within us, not only for ourselves, but on behalf of all beings everywhere, for the entire cosmos. Let us sing together, I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I living from that place of sacred remembrance. Let us feel that energy deeply. And then inhale and exhale, gently opening our eyes, remembering who we are, one with love, as love, in love, and in service to what is, as it is, and so it is. Thank you so much, choir. Beautiful. I love the surround sound. That was great. Coming from the balcony, too, right? It was beautiful. How many of you all sang that song and say Girl Scout camp or school or whatever? I know I did. Yeah, I love that song. So pretty. So today we're talking about forgiveness. Yeah. It's part of Edwene Gaines' book, Four Spiritual Laws of Success, of Prosperity, rather. It's up here on the altar. And she has 4 laws. One is tithing. The other is goal setting. The next one is forgiveness. And the next one is purpose. And today we're speaking about forgiveness. So I'm going to start with a story called The Time the Buddha Refused to Forgive. Ooh. An angry man came into Buddha's assembly. He was furious because his children, who could have spent their time earning money, were just lollygagging around with the Buddha instead. The man spit at the Buddha. The Buddha just smiled at him. This made the spitter even angrier. He stalked off in a huff and went home super angry. He couldn't sleep at all that night. But then the next day, strangely, he woke up filled with remorse. And so he went back to the Buddha, and he fell at the Buddha's feet and said, "Please, please, sir, forgive me." But the Buddha said, "No, I cannot forgive you." Everyone in the assembly was shocked. The businessman asked, "Why? Why, Buddha? Why can't you forgive me? I thought you were the Buddha." The Buddha simply replied, "Oh, well, that person that you spat on is no longer here. If I ever meet that person that you spat on, I'll be sure to tell him to whoop you upside the head." That's exactly what he said. But to this person, this Buddha here today, you've done nothing wrong. Also, the Buddha added, the spitter who spat upon me no longer exists. And with that, the reformed spitter fell to his knees and changed his whole life. As the Christian Bible says, go and spit no more. And the man went and spat no more. In this story, the Buddha exemplifies the idea that beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. Some of us call it, some of us call it Rumi's field. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other don't make any sense. I suppose that spitting doesn't make any sense in that field either. This is about a consciousness, a place and a field of consciousness where we are immersed in the immediacy of oneness, in the immediacy of now. We dwell in a realm of present-centered, abiding compassion and forgiveness when we're in Rumi's field, that place beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing. Now, all that being said, it's an esoteric divine examination of forgiveness, but to the human in us, forgiveness can be super challenging. We're afraid to forgive because it feels like we're condoning bad behavior. And it may feel like we're not protecting ourselves, like we're allowing someone to hurt us. But forgiveness is not that. In fact, true compassion or true forgiveness often involves setting really super firm, kind boundaries to prevent someone from doing harm to themselves or to somebody else, to us. Another reason that I've discovered that forgiveness is challenging is this: uncertainty. Uncertainty. Stupid impermanence, as I like to call it. By the way, I shared this in class the other day. They appreciated it. I was talking with my prayer partner, and I told him, I'm just sick of all this impermanence. I'm just tired of it. And he said, well, don't worry, that'll change. Anyway, uncertainty, impermanence causes discomfort, and blame offers the illusion of control. And self-righteousness offers us a sense of false power. We hold an unconscious belief of, if I tell my side of the story endlessly, yes, I will feel better, I will win. And this illusion can be very seductive. Has anyone here ever been seduced by that illusion of rehashing the story over and over in your mind, or to anyone who will listen over and over again, thinking that somehow it's going to help? Some of you may have observed this in yourself, and some of you may have observed it in others. Some of you may have observed it on social media. I've certainly noticed it in response to the fires in Los Angeles. Everybody has a solution. Everybody has a reason why it happened. And I think that's just because when there's an out-of-control situation, people get afraid. They get afraid and they feel helpless, so they want to blame and condemn others to, again, offer ourselves, the illusion of control. It's absolutely important to discern where things went wrong, where we might have done better. But from Edwene Gaines, she says, instead of asking who's to blame, we could instead ask, how can we make this better? And part of the making things better comes through an understanding of forgiveness, what it really is. Because relentlessly nursing, cursing, rehearsing the transgressions of others that life gives us, that binds us to wrongdoing. It's a form of clinging, which is the source of suffering. And through this clinging, we temporarily obliterate the possible, the new story, the better story about what could be. Edwene Gaines wrote, if we refuse to forgive, we are clinging to self-defeating feelings such as guilt, shame, blame, hurt, and resentment. And when we do this, we cannot feel truly worthy of having the best God can give us. We cannot accept God's gifts. I know with my own imperfect practice of forgiveness, which I do almost every day, because every day I criticize something or blame something, so I'm called to practice forgiveness. I know that I'm tempted to cling to wanting to be right, wanting to blame, wanting to complain about the way reality is or the way another person is. And you know what? Sometimes we are right. Sometimes things should be better. But I've noticed in myself a tendency to tell and retell, let's say one particular story, there's more than one, but one particular story over and over and over again in my head, as if I'm trying to prove my rightness, prove my righteousness, prove my rightness to the past and to a person that will never hear me. If I'm really aware, I can sense my attachment to a perception that telling this story is a reflection of my own guilt and shame. I say to myself, unconsciously, maybe I could have done better. Maybe I could have made this person see the light. Maybe I could have changed this person. Maybe if I was enough, things would have been different. Let me just rehash the story one more time so I can change the outcome of something that has already happened. Does that make any sense whatsoever? No, but doesn't it feel so compelling to our little selves inside? It certainly does. So letting go of all of that is truly powerful, even when we do so reluctantly. Even if we do it just for a second, it's like building a muscle. That's why the title of this talk is My Forgiveness Forgives or Frees Me. That's why your forgiveness forgives or frees you. This is actually based on a quote from Ernest Holmes, who said, your judgment judges you. Well, the good news is that our forgiveness forgives us as well. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Since there's only one, my forgiveness of you simultaneously forgives me, and my forgiveness of myself forgives you. We love our neighbor as we love ourselves, not meaning as much as we love ourselves, but as we love ourselves, we love our neighbors, and as we love our neighbors, we love ourselves, because there is only one. That's why A Course in Miracles says all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. So now that we've got that down pat, we can just start forgiving. I said start forgiving. It's a practice, and we start where we are to go far. Tomorrow we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King. Coincidentally, Bill Hadris and I, that Bill, Bill and I did not communicate about a quote for the service, but we picked the same quote. Martin Luther King said, "Forgiveness is not an occasional act. It is a permanent attitude. It is, as we said before, like abiding in Rumi's field, where we see the oneness beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, and we recognize that we're all human, that everyone is human, even us. Forgiveness is not an occasional act. It is a permanent attitude of abiding in Rumi's field." And I would add also that forgiveness is an ongoing exploration. It's a joyous exploration. It's a field of undefiled creativity where we get to look at our perceived separation from God's grace. We get to be like the Buddha in the story that I told, present-centered, no longer dwelling in past transgressions. And we get to identify not with the transgression, not with how right we are, how wrong the other person was, or not with our guilt or our shame. We get to identify with an inner realm that is perfect and completely unassailable. We identify that place within us that can never be diminished. The most real thing about us is that place. And then we get to respond, and we also get to receive from that field that we've cultivated, a field of unvarnished possibilities. So how do we do that? Again, we start where we are. But Eckhart Tolle, I heard a lecture of his the other day. He suggests that we learn to forgive by starting small. As you know, in the past I have said, and I'll say it today, I say love your enemy, don't start with Hitler. Start with something small. In one of his lectures, Eckhart Tolle gives some examples of places where we can forgive reality, where we forgive reality and the people in it for offending us. He suggests the perils of waiting in a long line. How many of us have stood in a long line and blamed the world for creating a long line that we had to stand in? He suggests forgiving traffic or bad drivers. He suggests forgiving telemarketers or being on a long customer service queue. That one may be too much. In all of these situations, we engage in a wrestling match. We engage in a fight with the universe, and we say, this shouldn't be happening. I'm a very important person. This should not be happening to me. These people, this situation is making my life miserable. Conditions, other people, the world around us do not cause our misery. Our suffering is caused by clinging. And our suffering is formed out of thoughts. So our thoughts about what is happening, our thoughts are the culprit. Our beliefs are the culprit. And our skillful response to such thinking is our salvation, the source of our greatest transformative power. Again, lest you think loving your enemies means letting anybody do whatever they want to you, not standing up for what is right for you or for others. We don't have to condone or even like what is happening, but we have to handle it skillfully. We can observe it, notice our reactions, and then passionately move from reaction to choosing a response that serves. Letting go of the story that I talked about before is a passionate response that serves. Eckhart Tolle suggests that we remember that the mind is in service to the spirit, and the mind is very busy, but the mind is often busy doing its own thing. So he says, talk to the mind as you would to a wayward employee. When we get caught in a loop of comparing, complaining, judging, blaming, telling the story over and over again, saying how wrong that person is and hoping that they will somehow hear our thoughts and change, trying to change the past, we can gently take our mind aside and say, like they're a wayward employee, I'm afraid we're going to need to let you go. I'm afraid we're going to need to let you go. That's because forgiveness is letting go. And that scenario I told you about before, the story where I'm telling myself over and over again, trying to change the other through the power of my mind, trying to change the past through the power of my mind, and recognizing that really the story is about me holding on to my own guilt and shame and self-blame. Regarding that story, yes, I want to fix it. Yes, I want to protect myself. Yes, I want to prevent it from happening over and over again. But just this past week, I realized that I've told that story enough times. And so for now, the best thing that I can do, that which serves me, the other person, and the field of forgiveness, the best thing that I can do is to let go of the story, let go of the desire to chant a condemning mantra about the past. Notice the rehashing of old news that takes place in my head. Notice the rehashing of feelings about it that take place in my body. And then wake up, see it, and say, I'm afraid I'm going to need to let you go. Let's think about something else for a while. And you know what? It works. Not only did the inner change, but the outer changed as well. And oddly, through the work of the Holy Spirit, which is the wholeness of spirit, I feel strangely happier when I'm not telling that story over and over again. Who would have thought? This practice of looking at the story and saying, I'm going to need to let you go for now, this practice has also taught me something important, that forgiveness is not a means to an end. Forgiveness is both the means and the end. It is the alpha and the omega. The process of forgiveness, of engaging in ongoing forgiveness, is the prize. The paradoxical power of letting go, this is the true gift. And I trust that everyone here today is ready to receive the gift in some form or another. If we're really ready to receive all of Spirit's blessings, if we're really ready to let go, maybe we could think of forgiveness like this. Every offense is an opportunity. Every opportunity is an action. Every action is an affirmation. In 1958, Dr. Martin Luther King was 29 years old. He was signing books in a department store in Harlem, and a woman stepped out of the long line and shouted, "Are you Martin Luther King?" He said yes, and she stabbed him in the chest, dangerously close to his heart. Doctors later told him that if he had sneezed, the blade would have killed him. And a decade later, the night before he was assassinated, Dr. King described the stabbing in his famous mountaintop speech, where he said, "I'm so glad I didn't sneeze." This thing that happened to him was an offense of the highest nature. It's hard to think about anything even more offensive. And yet, for him, it became an opportunity. Because when he was in the hospital, one of Dr. King's mentors, Reverend Howard Thurman, he visited him and he said, "Martin, you have to deepen your channels, or this movement will swallow you." And he encouraged Dr. King to study the principles of Gandhi and nonviolent activism, to really deepen in the channel of that, in the field of that. And Martin Luther King did just that. So this was Dr. King's offense that turned into an opportunity that led to an action, which was nonviolent protest that transformed the civil rights movement in the United States and provided a brilliant example of love in action to the whole world. That action was an immediate affirmation. An affirmation that was unbelievably bold about the power of nonviolence, the paradox of using nonviolence to open hearts, change minds, and get things done. It was an affirmation to right the wrongs, yet lift everyone up in the process. An affirmation of the oneness that abides in all of us. And yes, there is still work to be done. But the master teacher, Jesus, said, "These things ye shall do and more." And I don't know that that's necessarily about literally raising the dead or healing the sick, but it is taking our own gifts, our own talents, our own offenses, and turning them into opportunities, and turning those opportunities into action, and then turning those actions into affirmations that bless and elevate the oneness of everyone and everything. I believe that we are the ones to engage in this sacred process. And that's why we're here today and here on this planet Earth. It's not as linear as we want to make it. It's a mystery. It's a paradox. And that causes us just to step forth in faith and do the work anyway. Do the work of looking at offenses differently, recognizing that offenses are opportunities, recognizing that opportunities can quickly turn into action, whether it's inner action or outer action, and making sure that our actions affirm the oneness of all, even the people that are difficult to forgive. Even life, when life is difficult to forgive. Earlier in this message, I mentioned how I've observed blame and perhaps a lack of forgiveness around the fires in Los Angeles. This person's blaming that person's blaming this person. Everybody's making suggestions without knowing the whole story. But maybe in the spirit of forgiveness, in the spirit of oneness, and in the spirit of offense becoming opportunity, and opportunity becoming action, and action becoming affirmation, we can respond for something, not against something, but for something, for the greater good. We can take this offense of the fires and use it as an opportunity to focus on how we can serve. We act. We act by donating to our collection of needed items that we've just started up here. There's a list on our website, and we'll talk more about it later. We act by affirming our oneness. And we act through all of it, through the collective understanding that your pain is my pain, your good is my good, that if I help one person, I help all people, because there is only one of us, and your prayer is my prayer. Personally, the more I struggle, the more I study, the more I become, the more I surrender, the more I forgive, the more I believe is that this is why we're here. To forgive everything, to live in the one as the one, and to learn to love the one as the one in all things. Let's do that now. Let us pray. Turn within and just take a moment to breathe and see if anything has been stirred up in this sacred time together. And in this place of seeing what is happening within us, let us know that it abides in a bigger field of consciousness that is Rumi's field, the field beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing, the field where the words each other make no sense, the field that speaks the language of love, that lives the language of love, that is perfect oneness, that contains all perception of opposite, that contains all perception of right and wrong. Let us know that field for ourselves right now, and let us connect to it. Even if it feels foreign, even if it feels like it doesn't make any sense, let us connect to something bigger than our small selves and abide in that place for just a moment to touch the hem of that sacred garment and eventually wrap ourselves in it. Today, I know that there is one perfect life, and that life is God's life. That life is a life of spirit, and that life is a life of each of us, right here and right now. All things, all beings, everywhere. Everything is the life of spirit. And so from this place, I look at my own personal relationship with this life of spirit. Is there a place where I'm holding on? Is there a place where I'm holding on to complaint about reality or another person? Is there a place where I'm struggling? Is there a place where I seek greater understanding? And what would happen if we just allowed it to be and let it go? Can we ask ourselves right now, looking at this place in our hearts, that whatever has come up for us, whether it seems large or small, could I let this go? Am I capable of letting this go? Will I let it go? Am I willing? And then when? Can I let at least a small piece of it go right here and right now, just allowing it to be, allowing it to dissolve into the native nothingness from where it came, and allowing that spaciousness to be who we really are? That spaciousness that contains all possibilities, that spaciousness that is the grace of God. As we release and let go, we release and we relinquish all of our barriers to receiving the grace of God on behalf of all beings. So let us do that right now. Let us let go and open our hearts to be that which we came here to be the change, to be the grace, to be the power, to be the love, to be the tenderness, to be the intensity, to be all opposites combined into one. We are that. Today, in this moment, we know it in our hearts, we know it in our bodies, we know it in our minds, and if we've known it once in this place, we can know it forever and everywhere. And so I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for this time together and what this spiritual work we have engaged in will provide for us and for the world. So grateful for the transformation that I know is happening. Even when it seems rocky, I know that transformation is happening right now, and I am grateful for it. I'm grateful for this tool of forgiveness, for this power that allows us to let go, that allows us to be more of who we came here to be. I'm grateful for love and for the immense, infinite, intense, powerful, willing, wonderful grace of God that flows into our lives right here and now. I'm so grateful for all of it because it is happening now. And with a heart that is so filled with gratitude, I bless this teaching. I bless all paths to God, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, gurdwaras, fundamentalists, atheists, anybody I haven't named. I bless all teachings. I let go, and I let God. With a heart filled of tenderness and love, I say, thank you, Spirit, thank you, love. And in that spirit of letting go, I simply release this word into the mystery of the law. And together we say, and so it is. Hello.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you for writing that message for me. I know I'm not alone.
My inspiration. Yeah.
Bernie and I were arguing over that. It's like, no, it's for me. No, it's for her.
Right.
I think it's for all of us. Bill said that. We're one.
Yes.
And I love that we anchored in that this morning. And there's this beautiful relationship between self-forgiveness and forgiveness. And it's so important to start where you are and be the change. And that starts with showing loving kindness to yourself so that you have filled that up to share with others. Mm-hmm. So this morning, I just invite you to be in that place of self-forgiveness, forgiveness, as we do our offering. So I invite you to say the blessing with me. We trust in spirit. Love is the giver and receiver of all that we are. We offer these gifts. They are an outer expression of our inner abundance and compassion. Our gifts bless many and return to us multiplied in miraculous ways so that we may give again. And so it is.
Thank you, Lonnie.
And we're going to find the announcements, which are somewhere here. There. Okay. Oh, by the way, yes. The way to start your day is with sparkle shoes. You can't have a bad day with sparkle shoes. And one of the ways to continue your soul growth is not only by attending services, by coming to classes. And we've got some great classes coming up. And in the class we did yesterday on setting our intentions, to keep your intentions that you've set for 2025, come to the classes, because they continue inviting you to expand your soul beyond your story, as Bonnie said. So one that's coming up is the great work of your life. 6 weeks in person starting Monday, January the 27th. And this is an invitation for you to use the Joseph Campbell process of myth to take a look at your life and the stories of others and how what they did you can do, if that makes sense. So come, and the registration is open. You can talk to us at the registration desk or the concierge desk, or online. You can register for the class, and it's priceless pricing. A new class, Creating Spaces That Energize and Nurture Us, is with Susan Seal. It's a two-session workshop. It's going to be February 15th and March the 1st, 1 to 3 in person. And this is using feng shui to take the space that you live in, and part of some of the intentions we talked about yesterday was letting go of stuff. And sometimes our stuff gets just stuck in our house, and that represents it gets stuck in us. So come with Susan. You'll learn how to feng shui, how to be very feng shui in your own home, and have it be simple and loving and serve you. Are you a light leader? If you have not been to Susan Burrell's Light Leader class, I took it last time. I'm going to take it again. Bring the light out. That's what it's all about. That's what we're here for. There's a frickin' lot of darkness in the world. So you get to be the light. Come learn to be a light leader with Susan. And it's going to be a soul growth workshop, 5 days. It's going to be in the evening, so those of you who work, you can be at the class, February 25th through 28th, 6:30 to 8 on Zoom, so you don't even have to get out of your jammies. You can come right on Zoom, and it'll be fabulous. And her whole process of light leading, I love it. Year-end statements are being mailed, and anybody who has paid for any of the classes, if you paid by cash, like yesterday for my class, and you want a receipt, let Reverend Jennifer know as she's doing the bookkeeping. We have hospitality and information in the fellowship hall, lots of goodies, coffee, tea, whatever you'd like as a refreshment, get to know somebody else. And the fabulous piece is also prayer with practitioners. If you've not had a prayer with a practitioner, stop by, one-stop shop here. 1 Minute Miracles. We call it that because a true practitioner session can be an hour-ish, and you really get some, I call it in-depth counseling and coaching with a practitioner. But this is 1 minute of you just being able to allow what's in your heart, unburden it with someone who can help you move through whatever that is. And I appreciate every one of you. We're going to have an affirmation, which will show up here. So we're going to say this together. Remembering my abundance, I decide to be love, share love, serve love. Thank you for my life, and so it is.